1-800-593-0502. That's 1-800-593-0502.
Well, while health care may be getting much of the attention in Washington, it is not the only major push inside the Beltway. Financial regulation and reform, also a hot topic. And Senator Ted Kaufman is chairing a Judiciary Committee oversight hearing today that is focusing on mortgage fraud, securities fraud, and maybe prosecuting those responsible. Senator Kaufman, welcome back to the program. Thank you very much for coming on, sir. What do you want to accomplish out of today?
Thanks for having me.
Sure. What do you want to accomplish out of today's hearing?
You know, we passed this Fraud Enforcement Recovery Act because people in the Congress, the President, and frankly, most Americans wanted to be sure that we went out and found and prosecuted any of the people that were involved in financial fraud in conjunction with the market meltdown, our financial meltdown. So we passed that to get more prosecutors and more FBI agents. What you do in the Congress is after you pass a bill, then you wait for a period, and then you have what we call an oversight hearing. That's what we're doing today. We've got folks from the Securities Exchange Commission, from the Department of Justice and FBI coming in basically telling us what are we doing to find the people who are engaged in financial fraud, and what are we doing to make sure they end up in jail.
Senator, will you admit, though, that a lot of the small-time fraudsters are just not worth the money to hunt down and prosecute? It has to be some sort of cost-benefit analysis, does there not?
Oh, yeah, no, I think that's absolutely right. And I don't mean, it's a lot like the drug business. You know, we should not be out picking up everybody that's in possession of, 2 ounces of marijuana. What we got to do is find the people that bag it up and send it out. And that's where we are now. This is not just about the mortgage brokers. We'll go after them and the people that made the bad appraisals and the folks, the finance companies. Well, really, it's the people that knew they bundled them up into these mortgage-based securities and then sold them, and the rating agencies that rated them, and the people were involved who fraudulently, not because they didn't know, but the people that knew that these were not viable investments, but sold them as viable investments, and therefore committed fraud. And that's the people, Senator, that's the kind of thing we're after.
Well, Senator, it sounds like you would like to prosecute and go after some pretty high-level people at major investment banks then, because that's who you just described.
That's exactly right. That's exactly right. I mean, I think they just announced an indictment yesterday, and I think that the Galleon. I think what we're basically saying is that there is plenty of reason to believe that there was fraudulent activity that came up. I mean, the average households in America's net value over the last 2 years, between 2007 and 2009, dropped by $14 trillion. And we know that a lot of that, there could have been fraud. People that honestly did it, that didn't know what they were doing, who didn't think, that's not what we're after. But there's really lots of evidence to believe that there were people that fraudulently behaved. And the defense is, well, everybody was doing it. We were carried away in a market delirium. That is not a defense, and that's what we have to track down.
But what about the personal responsibility, though, of the homeowner who was riding the wave and jumping on the train like everybody else, who took out the home equity lines? And so you have to admit that they bear a great deal of the responsibility, and it's not fraud.
That's right, Dagan. They bear responsibility. But the difference between them and the people we're talking about, they paid a penalty. They're paying a penalty for their mistakes. They made a mistake. That was part of it. But there's so many people that were involved further up the chain, just like happens so often. The people at the top of the chain, we're not, that's what this is all about. This is about going out, finding those folks and prosecuting them. There were a lot of people that have to blame with the financial meltdown. It isn't just those. But this piece of it is, we know that there was potential for financial fraud in the major operations, primarily in Wall Street, and that's what this is all about.
Senator, I've always wanted to know this, but what about the role of the Federal Trade Commission in policing all these ads that are clearly fraudulent offers, whether it's CDs in Mexico to, well, even maybe not fraudulent, but take out a home equity loan and take a vacation to Mexico?
Dagan, you're right on point. It's a different problem, but it's just a bigger problem. What we had is we had a period for a number of years where we just didn't regulate anything. We didn't regulate the FTC. We didn't regulate the SEC. We didn't do any regulation. So there were lots of things that went on. We're doing that too. That's what the Financial Regulatory Reform Bill is all about, is to alter the procedures so we get back to regulation. And I don't want to over-regulate. I do not want to over-regulate, but I think we really seriously need major regulation. And I think we have to send a message to everyone that if you commit a crime in this country, if it's a big crime, you pay just as much as a person.
Are you preparing to issue subpoenas?
No, I don't do that. No, what we do is
You can subpoena people to come and sit in front of you.
No. We can, but that's not what this is about. Getting the SEC, the Department of Justice, and the FBI to issue the subpoenas. We're just asking them, how are you proceeding? What are you doing?
But are you pressing the FBI on that? Are you pressing the FBI on that?
Yep. Brian, if you watch the hearings today, they're going to be this afternoon, you'll see exactly what I'm talking about. We're going to ask quite tough questions on what are you doing, how are you allocating your resources, how are you targeting the people you're going after, where are you going to be doing it. Those are the kind of questions. That's what we're doing in this hearing. We're going to have questions, and I got a pretty good sign. I mean, they set up this financial fraud task force. It's a good sign. They're starting to go after people. It takes a long time to develop these cases. Okay. As you know, they're very complex. But that's what the hearing's about today. It's going to be questioning the Securities Exchange Commission. Robert Kazumi is the head of the Enforcement Division, and Keith Perkins from the FBI, and also Lanny Brewer is head of the Criminal Division, Department of Justice.
All right, Senator Ted Kaufman, thank you very much, sir, for joining us on Fox Business, and we will watch those hearings. Thank you.
Good, and thanks for